Good evening. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rie Bloomfield Organ Series, the distinguished guest artists. And before I welcome our artists this evening, I want to make a special mention of the next concert, which is on Monday, not on Tuesday, Monday, November 28th, organ and orchestra with our very own Mark Laycock and the WSU Symphony Orchestra, lots of students who will be here performing, and you will not want to miss this program. It will also include, because it's part of Wednesdays in Wiedemann, it's the Christmas concert and the distinguished guest artists. It will contain a Christmas sing-along, so come and sing with us and see and hear the organ and orchestra. Tonight we welcome here at Wiedemann Hall British organist Clive Driskill Smith. He's an extremely well-rounded concert organist and is currently the organist and choirmaster at All Saints Episcopal Church in Fort Worth, Texas. He was born in Kent, England, and was educated at Eton College, a prestigious school, which you may have heard of, whose alumni include 20 British prime ministers, among others. After Eton, he studied at Oxford and later became the organist at Christ Church Cathedral there, living in Auden Cottage, which was once the home of the poet W.H. Auden. Before becoming an organist, he played the piano and the bassoon, performing piano concertos by Rachmaninoff, Mozart, Shostakovich, and Beethoven, when a young man in his teens. His concert performances have taken him to many international destinations, including Washington, D.C., Melbourne, Australia, Westminster Abbey, Russia, and Taipei only recently. His CDs have received critical acclaim, and his performances have been broadcast on radio and television across the world. He and Grammy Award-winning percussionist Joseph Gramley form a brilliant organ and percussion duo since 2004 and have performed here on the stage before, several years ago. You will have the opportunity to get to know our artists a little bit better during the conversation with the artist following the intermission. In an exciting program spanning several centuries, please welcome Clive Driskill Smith. welcome again.
Thank you.
It's so good to have you back. It's an honor and a pleasure. And, well, I say have you back because you played here, you've performed here 4 times previously. And now this is twice since I've been here, so.
Yes, so before you arrived, I think the first time I came here was in 1999 with the choir that I played for in England, Christchurch Cathedral Choir in Oxford. And this was one of the stops on our tour. And then I think a few years later, maybe around 04 or 05, I came and did a solo recital. And then you arrived.
Then I arrived in 2006, and I can't remember the year that you came with your duo, your
Right.
Joseph Gramley percussion. It was quite an event because then we had a master class, a joint master class with the percussion class here, and their students, and my organ students. So
Yes, I remember it.
and now you're back as a solo organist, and we're just loving it. And we'll talk about the program in a little bit. But first, a little bit about you. Of course, you're British. You're from England, the region of Kent, which is southeast England. And your studies were at Eton and Oxford, both prestigious places. I wanted to ask you, you probably have something to say, wouldn't you think?
No, well, I was just going to say, apparently, in my passport, it says I was born in Belgium, but I am British.
Were you on the boat or the ferry?
My father was working out there, so I was born in Belgium, but I grew up in Kent, as you said.
I see. But having studied in places like Eton and Oxford, they're so old and ancient. Did the magnificence and the historical impact of these places affect you in any way, or in a cultural point of view throughout your studies, or becoming a part of you?
Yes, I think so. In a strange way, I spent so much time in those wonderful, historic, famous places, Eton and Oxford, that actually I really, after 25 years of those institutions, I wanted to escape. So I actually love my new life. We haven't got there yet, but I love my new life in Fort Worth, which could not be more different from Eton and Oxford. But I mean, they're wonderful historic places, but for me, I just wanted to get away.
Well, that certainly is understandable. But while you were there, you were very close to the mainland of Europe, and so it was easy to go over there, discover all those places. I know your teacher, David Sanger, suggested that you go over there and learn as much as possible.
Yes, that's one of the best things I think that I learned from David was that it's very important and very useful to explore different countries, different cultures, different organs, different styles of organs, and take repertoire to particular organists in Europe who have specialized in that repertoire for their whole lives. For example, I remember taking some early Italian repertoire, Frescobaldi and Gabrieli and Rossi, which I'm going to play next. I went for a week to a place called Treviso in Italy, which is near Venice, and I studied with Andrea Marcon, which was a fascinating experience. And also I studied on a course in Switzerland some Italian repertoire with Luigi Tagliavini, who we both know. And so that was a and not only studying with different organists, but also playing different organs, and also meeting other organists of my own age. For example, when I entered competitions, you learn from all these things. So I loved all that.
Yes, and we have to remind ourselves that you won the Calgary International Organ Competition in 2002. That was a very, very important, prestigious competition out in Alberta.
Yes, started by Simon Preston.
Yes, indeed.
Who sadly passed away
recently. Wasn't he the organist of Christchurch Cathedral?
Yes, he was.
In Oxford, yes.
Yes.
What is that organ again?
Well, it's a Riga.
That's right. I found it difficult to play.
It is very difficult to play. If you can play something on that organ, you can play it anywhere, I think.
Yes, well, that's good to know. But you played there how many years?
Well, I went as an undergraduate to Christchurch in '96, and then I started the job as organist in 2001, and then I left in 2018.
And you've been a professor of organ at the Royal Academy of Music in London,
Yes.
lectures and master classes around the world in grand places. I wanted to ask you again a similar question to before. What has struck you the most or made the biggest impression on you? Now, it could be people, places, organs, throughout what we could certainly call a prestigious career.
What has struck me the most?
You can think about it. We can go on and talk about something else.
Well, I mean, it's been people I've met. I mean, I wouldn't want to single out anyone in particular, but people I've met, people I've heard play, some magnificent organs around this country, and in Asia and Europe. I mean, it's one of the things I loved when I was back in Europe was playing the historic organs in Germany, like the Silbermann organs in Germany that from Bach's time, and it's just so beautiful, and it kind of tells you how to play, or it helps you to interpret the music just by the way it sounds and by the feel of the keys. And in fact, this beautiful organ reminds me of those historic instruments, the beautiful touch here and the way you can control the sound.
Right. I agree. Those make an irreplaceable opportunity to learn. Now, your life now, you've done what I did going over from my country to France, but then I came back. You haven't gone back to England,
No.
but you were over here now in Fort Worth, which isn't very far. That's great.
No. Yes, I moved over here 4 years ago on a visa, but I now have a green card, so I am now a legal permanent resident after spending lots of money for an immigration lawyer.
Yes, I know what the price was.
Yes, but anyway, I'm very happy. I'm very happy in Fort Worth. I've got a cowboy hat and cowboy boots. Yes.
You didn't tell me that.
I'm a real Texan, except the only problem is my accent.
Oh, yeah.
But I can say all y'all.
All y'all?
Yes.
What part of y'all don't you understand? That's what I have a T-shirt like that. But don't lose your accent. It's like French people over here. They speaking English. You don't want them to lose your accent. It's so charming. But you have something else here in your new life. It's a dog.
Oh yes. I've always
Lovely dog.
I've always wanted a dog in my life. So a few years ago, I found a house. I bought a lovely piano, and I adopted a dog. So.
And her name is?
Her name is Daisy.
Yes. Chocolate brown.
Chocolate brown Labrador kind of size, but she's a Labrador / pointer.
Yes, I've seen pictures. I can attest to that.
And it was her birthday on Monday.
Oh. Now, you mentioned piano. You are a concert pianist because you were, when you're in your teens, at least your biography says that. But what I wanted to ask you, and you continue to play piano, you have a lovely piano in your home. How important is the study of piano for young organ students, those who want to play the organ well?
I think it's very important. I mean, it's been very useful to me to have a strong piano background. And I remember, I think I was age 15 at school at Eton when I said to the director of music, please can I start learning the organ? And he said, no, not until you've got, it wasn't very encouraging, not until you've got grade 8 piano. Grade 8 piano is just one of the grade exams we do in England. So I did that, and then I started the organ the next year. And funnily enough, the first piece my organ teacher, well, after doing a term or a semester of pedal exercises to get used to the pedals, you won't believe this, the first piece Alistair Sampson, my teacher, gave me was Dupre's Praeludium Fugue in G minor.
Ooh.
But, I mean, that's a ridiculous piece for a beginner to learn. But the prelude is very pianistic. And for me, the piano, you know, that's... Because the problem with that piece is that there are 4-part chords in the, in the pedal.
He saw that you had a lot of technique, and that's what one needs, the organ students need, is to have the piano.
Yeah, I think so. And I often take difficult difficult passages from organ music to the piano and just practice it on the piano. And make it sound beautiful on the piano. Because it's, in England, I remember people saying, oh, he or she plays the piano like an organist. And I think what they mean by that is that the organist goes to the piano and just plays each finger with the same weight, which I suppose you can do on the organ because you can't change the dynamic by the pressure of your fingers. But on the piano, it's vital. I mean, the piano sounds horrible if you play it like that. So that's what they mean. That's
a very good description because it's so different. I mean, it's only the keyboard that looks the same.
Right. Yes, it's a different technique.
A percussion instrument and a wind instrument.
Yes. Yes, I suppose the technique of playing, I've often thought the technique of playing the organ and the harpsichord is a bit more similar than the organ and piano.
Yes.
But still, I think the piano is very, very useful.
One question I always ask our guests, it's what is the piece of advice you would give to young musicians who are studying to become any instrument, and then particularly for young organists?
Well, I think I would go back to what we talked about a bit earlier with what my teacher told me, which was go and play other organs, meet other organists, learn from other organ teachers. You know, your organ teacher, whoever it is, I'm sure is wonderful, but you know, there's not one way of playing every piece. I mean, there are lots of things one can learn, but at the end of the day, there are 100 ways of interpreting a piece. Sure. So that would be my advice, or for any instrument. You know, go to concerts, meet people, read books, just immerse yourself in it.
Discipline?
Well, discipline, yes. I didn't think of that because I suppose I had discipline for some reason.
Well, if you can play Chopin, I think you have discipline.
But that's very important, and also and knowing how to practice. Of course, you learn that from your teacher. But it's all very well saying, "Oh, I did 2 hours practice today," but was it effective practice, or did you just play through the piece 10 times with the same mistakes each time?
Right.
Or did you actually practice?
Yeah. So there's lots to learn. Let's talk about your program a little bit and give some commentary on the pieces. I find it extraordinary because you've mixed up old world pieces and modern ones. Composers, there's one living composer, Guy Bovet.
Yes.
And one of my favorites is the Tanz-Toccata. I mean, it's really like a wild satanic dance. I don't play that one, but the Heiller Tanz-Toccata, with which he ended the first half, is just, and it's got so much syncopation and
I think
jazz.
I think Tanz is correct me if I'm wrong, I think Tanz is the German for dance.
Yes, that's what I said.
So it's a dance toccata.
Yes, that's what I said.
But it would be very difficult to dance to because it keeps changing meter.
That's why it sounds more like a satanic dance.
Yes.
Not a witch dance, but something.
Right. Well, we've just had Halloween, so.
Well, true. Very good. Very good. I don't think it's been performed here before, so.
It works beautifully on this organ. I was thinking when I was setting up the registration that Heiller asks for particular stops, and they're all here.
They're all here. And you chose your program because you know the organ so well. I don't think there's any other artist who's played so many times here.
Yeah, no, it's, yes, I suppose I chose basically I'm playing pieces that I like.
That's
and it's as you said, it's a mixture of early and contemporary and pieces that work well on this organ. and in the beginning of the second half, there's an Italian piece followed by an English piece. But I thought I'd mention that I think of those as, even though the composers are from different countries, Rossi from Italy and Purcell from England, I think of them as similar in the sense that the Purcell piece is made up of dissonances and suspensions, and that was, I think, one of the styles that Frescobaldi was writing. Frescobaldi and his contemporary Rossi were writing in. They were either writing virtuosic toccatas, like the Rossi toccata, or they were writing slow pieces. I think it's called durezze e ligature in Italian, which is suspensions and dissonances.
And dissonances, yes.
And that's and Purcell in England would have been aware of that. So it's not entirely random that I put those two pieces together.
Oh, that's wonderful, wonderful juxtaposition. What else? Guy Bovet. Oh, I was just going to say, Guy, did you know Heiller, Anton Heiller? Did you ever meet him?
No, I never met him, but he taught my teacher, David Sanger.
I met him. He came to the University of Michigan too. But right. Yeah, very. He only died in '79, so.
Yes, I was age
Santa Claus, but
1.
without the beard.
Oh, right. Yes, and Guy Bovet lives in Switzerland. He's got a sense of humor. We've met him.
Yes.
He's got a sense of humor in as a person, but also in his music. As you'll hear in this piece, there are some quotations from famous pieces by other composers like Beethoven, Filiae, and some Offenbach, and one other. I think Wagner.
Yes, themes, melodies that the audience will know.
Yes.
Yeah, but does he have some very big rhythms, sort of like the Heiller toccata, Tanz-Toccata?
Yes, well, this piece, I think the full title is Hamburger Totentanz. Hamburger, it's not the hamburger dance. I think Hamburger means from Hamburg,
from
Germany.
Hamburg, yeah, the city.
Yeah, and Totentanz, the dance of death.
Yes.
It's you hear the rhythm at the beginning very softly, and the whole piece is just a big crescendo, like, with that driving rhythm throughout.
Driving rhythm, that's it.
Yes.
That's it. And then you have a chorale by Jean Demessieux.
Yes.
Lovely woman composer and one of probably the biggest virtuoso of the 20th century.
Yes, I don't play much by her, but I found this piece because I wanted to play more music by women composers, and I found a composer, Florence Price, but it didn't really, I mean, a wonderful composer, but it didn't speak to me very much. Yeah. I didn't love it. So I thought, well, I love French music. Why don't I investigate Jean Demessieux?
Well, and this is on Au filiae et filiae,
yes,
which is
a tune that we sing an Easter hymn.
Gregorian chant.
Right,
yeah.
Gregorian chant, yes.
And so you had the Heiller chorale variations that you played in the first half on the very well-known Advent hymn.
Right.
Nun kommt der Heiden Heiland, Savior of the heathen come.
Yes.
So there's a good comparison there to make.
Right, and I've just remembered I'm playing some Bach as well, aren't I?
You are. It's another chorale, but from the Schubler chorales.
Right.
I didn't put that in, did I? Oh, well, that's okay. And then Jean Langlais.
Jean Langlais, yes.
Fête, feast day.
Right, which is a loud, exciting toccata-like piece.
Did you know Jean Langlais?
No. Did you meet him?
I studied with him.
Oh, I forgot.
Yes, I studied with him. That's the only person on the program I've studied with, of course.
Right.
But and so we have a lot to look forward to. Lots of very exciting mélange. Oh, we said we were going to speak in French, weren't we?
Ah oui, un petit peu.
Un petit peu.
Mon français n'est pas. Is not good. N'est pas bon.
It's good enough to say that. Well, to end our talk here, I picked up something from your bio, and I'm sure the audience has read it too. You are a liveryman of the Worshipful Company of Musicians, one of the ancient livery companies evolving from London's medieval guilds.
Yes.
That's completely wild.
Yes, it's these. I think back in the 12th century, guilds formed of people who did similar kind of jobs. So there was and they became the Worshipful Company of Carpenters and all sorts of different companies. I think the musicians one was founded in the 15th century, I think, and I'm trying to remember now how I became. I think someone invited me to become a liveryman, and I had to.
It says you're a liveryman and a freeman,
yes,
of the City of London.
You have to become a freeman of the City of London first, and then you can become a liveryman.
And as such, you're allowed to take sheep across London Bridge.
Yes, well, that's ridiculous, of course, but
well,
but
they
I think
obviously haven't changed the bylaws since the 1500s.
Exactly. I'm sure that would have been a tremendous privilege in the 13th century.
Maybe take your dog Daisy over.
Right. Yes. Yes. It's.
I don't think there are many people who have that title,
Right.
or distinction as a liveryman. Do you evoke it?
I've never spent any amount of time with sheep, so I'm not sure I'd know how to take them all across London Bridge. But no, of course, now that I live in Texas, I don't really go to any of the events that the musicians company puts on. But I still keep in touch, and I see their news and their emails.
Well, and then having trained its eyes on London during the funeral of Queen Elizabeth, we're thinking of those places a little bit more than we usually do, so we can see where London Bridge is in the City of London.
Yes.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to say about your program, choosing the pieces for this organ?
No, as I said, I've chosen pieces that I like to play. These days, I'm really enjoying playing Buxtehude, the first composer that I played. I don't know what it is about Buxtehude's music that satisfies me, sometimes more than Bach.
Well, it's a music that's very, very joyous.
Yeah.
Not that Bach's isn't, but Bach's has that mixture of grief and joy going back and forth. But Buxtehude.
Yeah. And then Anton Heiller, I find a very interesting, characterful, quirky music.
Quirky.
Yes.
Quirky.
And then,
You can say that, but his variations in the first half brought out so many beautiful colors of the organ here.
yes.
That sounded beautiful, really, heard all the divisions very well.
And of course, the Handel Concerto works beautifully here.
Yeah. So we're in agreement. Are we in agreement? Clive, thank you very, very much for being here, and we're looking forward to the second half.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's a pleasure.